our project was on the fishbowl, and we are exploring how to increase awareness of the fishbowl's food truck, the Hot Box.
Oh my. Oh.
Okay, so some background on the fishbowl if you've never heard of it. It's right downtown on Main Street. 2019, it won the Roco Gold People's Choice Award, and it was Salisbury's #1 drink spot for live music, karaoke, billiards, cocktails, and domestic and craft beer. So they've been here for a few years now, a staple in downtown Salisbury, but they just added the Hot Box in June of this year. And so it's basically just a food truck that they have parked out back that they can get some snacks and food and stuff while they're there. They average 650 customers per week, and this is an average of 130 new members every week out of that total. So they do pretty well for themselves, and this has been a consistent number since they opened. Most of these customers are 21 to 49, and their hours are 11 to 2, which set them apart from other places like New Sarum and Rail Walk Brewery and stuff like that.
So as Peyton said, their food truck is called the Hot Box, and they opened in June of 2019, and they operate through all their business hours. So as soon as Fishbowl opens and as soon as they close, the food truck will stay open. Some of their current menu items include salmon patties, street corn, buffalo sliders, quesadillas, hamburgers, and hot dogs. And the little red box right there, yeah, that's the food truck. And this picture is of the back side of Fishbowl, which is where you enter from, because like the entrance on Main Street, they just force everybody to go through the back.
So when we met with Branson Hurst, the owner, his main concern was that sales were not where they needed to be for the food truck since they opened. And so we met in September when we started this project, so it had only been a few months they were open, but he just expected it to do better. So we kind of threw around some ideas of what might have been the problem, and he thought it might be poor marketing or menu options that are offered, and we talked about those the last slide. And ultimately we came down to the lack of awareness, which is what the purpose of our study is, to figure out what the awareness issue is and kind of pinpoint it so he can focus on that. So that graph down there was one we did for our survey. We simply asked, like, are you aware the food or the Fishbowl has a food truck? And
Orange.
yeah, orange is no. So the majority of people don't even know it exists. So this is the only advertisement other than Facebook that they have for the food truck, and it's if they decide to put the sign out that day. And then it's not as clear as it was, but their menu changes a lot every week, so there's not a consistent one, and that's how they also advertise what's on the menu when they put that on Facebook.
So some of our key concepts and variables, so awareness was a big one, and we said, and the definition of awareness is the quality or state of being aware and the knowledge of just knowing that something exists and something is there or present. And so when we met with Hurst, he obviously is very busy being the owner of the bar. He manages a lot of responsibilities that go on, so he lacks time to he doesn't have a lot of time to post about the food truck on social media. And he honestly told us that he was like, it's not one of my favorite things to do, it's not my first priority of the day. So like that was a big issue with the awareness. And then another key concept we looked at was consumer behavior, which is the study of consumers and the processes they choose. And so one of our questions we asked in our survey was, how likely are consumers to get food once they leave Fishbowl? So are you going to go run down the street to McDonald's, or like, are you going to go to Cookout right next door? So we just asked, most of the time, do people get food after they leave?
And so this is how we kind of framed our survey. So we did a convenience sample. We posted it on our personal Facebook pages and social media, and then we had Branson posted on the Fishbowl Facebook page. So it reached all of his locals and his normal customers. So we had 12 total questions that we did on Qualtrics, and we sent out a test survey at first to make sure that we were getting the right responses we needed. Our target sample was the Salisbury community and residents, because it is such a local bar. But our specific sampling frame were the residents who had visited the bar in the past year that were 21 and over, because they're not 21, they haven't been in the bar, so their information is useless. But so this is an example of 2 of the questions. We had a different variety of how you can answer the question based on what we were asking. So this was how would you rate their current menu choices, so that scale of 1 to 10, or if they hadn't had it, they'd pick an A. Or this one was select all that apply on the menu options. And then we also had just yes, no. We had 1 free response, and then we had them type in their birth date as well. So
So this is some of the results we found. So this first graph you already saw was the consumer awareness, and it shows that over half of the people were not aware that Fishbowl even had a food truck to offer. And then in the other graph you'll see is current menu options, and then some other options that people would like to see added to the menu. So the blue bars are already offered food items on the menu at Fishbowl, and then the orange bars are ones that customers entered in that they would like to see more. And we kind of did that because since Fishbowl changes their menu every week and they don't really post about it, it's hard to know what they're gonna have, so that could also be a reason why people don't want to eat there, is because like, well, maybe one day they're not serving any foods you might like. So we try to find options that would be most liked throughout the customers.
I don't know if we've said it, but we had 70 valid responses to take this information from, so that's what we're working with. So then the next one we did was about the best way to reach customers with new information about the menus or whatever offerings are at the bar in general. So we got the best way to do it is social media with 50%, and then the next was SMS messaging with 32%. So they kind of already do that when you get there. You type in your phone number and email address to when they scan your ID. So they'll send out mass text messages saying, hey, we're having karaoke night tonight. So now we're thinking they can maybe do that with the menu options or something like that. So we kind of did that just to make sure they were using the right methods to get the information to consumers. So then the next one is the consumer behavior we were talking about earlier, how often they would get food after leaving the fishbowl. And so orange, which was our most popular, was extremely likely, and then this blue is every time. So over half would get food. So this is a good investment that the fishbowl has made. So this just proves our point that the awareness is what's lacking, because people would buy the food. So gray is never, and then yellow is extremely unlikely, and then the light blue is somewhat unlikely. So we're over half the response people would get food.
So our suggestions and conclusions after our results, we obviously talked about earlier how poor marketing was a big issue with the awareness people knowing about this food truck. So we said use social media and their text messaging system they use to send out advertisements and keep people updated, like if the menu changes or like what's going on with the food truck. And then we also said, based on the graph you saw with like the food options, we said to keep the menu simple, and if they wanted to just throw in a few unique items here and there instead of changing the menu every week, maybe just change one item, because what we're finding is a lot of people want just finger food items. Like they don't want to try and sit down and cut up steak or have like a 5-course meal while possibly slightly intoxicated and drinking alcohol. Like it's just, people just want something they can grab quick and like keep hanging out with their friends. And then for futures, we said they could maybe do more surveys and then dive deeper into like more things that people want to see from the food truck, or maybe more issues that they may run into.
Okay. Questions?
So, if the truck is it's parked at the back where you enter, correct?
Yes.
Unless you park on Main Street.
Right.
Yeah.
How far is the food truck from the bar itself? Like if I was sitting at the bar.
Like the inside bar?
Yes.
10 feet. It's like right outside the door of where you enter.
Mm-hmm.
So, can people bring food from the food truck inside?
I think so. I don't see why not.
We didn't ask, but I would
Yeah.
assume so. But
I
they
mean,
don't serve food at the bar inside.
Yeah.
And that's strictly drinks, and then the food truck is simply, or like strictly food. So, but I don't see why
Yeah.
you couldn't bring it in.
I did not know they had a truck.
Yeah,
Now I know.
we didn't
See?
either.
I didn't know they
Point
had a truck. I thought
proven.
Yeah.
They were just the only bar open on Thanksgiving, so they're open on Thanksgiving, so.
Yeah, they're open all the time.
They're
But
open all the time.
He's
Yeah.
very
So-
proud of that.
And they have shocking
All the
hours
time
for
I've
a
been
bar.
there. And now I know.
Yeah.
Other questions? Okay, can you go back to the slide where you talk about people sit, yep, that one. So that's probably the first key piece of information, right? That majority of people are not aware. You could have presented those graph better with showing percentages. I think we were mentioning that when we met the other time. You know, so we know how much. We know the majority say yes. I guess yes is the blue, right?
Yeah.
And no is the orange,
Mhm.
right?
It's
So
harder to see.
exactly. So next
It's easier
time,
to see on the computer right
so
here,
next
but-
time there is a way to label it
Yeah.
next to the portion, right? So that people know, okay, how many percentage and what that color portion means, yes or no, right? Okay, so if you're gonna send this to the owner, you might need to fix that, right?
Okay.
So that he can see that. So is there any question asking, when they say no, did you ask them more information from the people who said no?
Mm-mm.
And what happened after they say no? If they click no in that question, what happened to them?
It said to end the survey.
Right.
So-
So that's kind of in hindsight, right? That if we want to know why people do not know, or what to do with people that didn't know, we could have collect more data from them, right? Like maybe, okay, you don't know about the food truck. Do you know about fishbowl? Right? For example, if they've been to fishbowl, they just don't know about the food truck like Josie, we could have sent another type of message or advertise to them one way versus people who had nothing, like had no idea, right?
I just lied to you on. It didn't tell them if they hadn't been to the food bowl
Uh-huh.
or fish bowl
Uh-huh.
to end it. It was if you were 21. If you weren't 21, it said end the survey.
Okay,
Sorry, I messed
so-
up on that one.
So
That's my fault.
Oh, so I think if they said no, they just kept going through it, but I guess that could be like what we said, like a future survey,
Right.
like
Yeah.
why
Sorry.
did you say no in the first place?
right, or what other store or what other bar you went to, right? If you didn't go to fishbowl, maybe because they didn't go to fishbowl, they had no idea, right? So we need to learn more about what we don't know, right? Because we don't know why they don't know, okay? So that could be something that in the future, whenever you do a study, you know that you have assumption that, well, maybe lack of awareness, but what to do in order to know why they lack of awareness is very important, right? If the owner, know that, wow, the majority don't know, but why, you can't answer that, right? So that could be something in hindsight that you could have collected data. I guess for the implication of the study, can you go back to the, I guess, last slide? So as far as people who are not aware, what did you recommend them to do?
Advertise more. Well,
Right.
like what Fishbowl can do for people that aren't aware.
That not
Advertise
aware
more.
of the hot box.
Yeah, I think honestly one of the best ways to get it out is through their text service because it's just an automated service. I think it is. If he just types up a message and press send like through this website, I think it sends it to all the people that are members or have been to the fishbowl and left their phone numbers for them. So that's probably one of the best ways to get awareness out because it goes straight to the person's phone. Like you know they're probably going to see it on social media. You could just be scrolling through and not really even looking at what you're looking at, but those are ways that they could.
Or you can, I think we were talking about promotions, right? Promotion in this scenario is to promote that there are incentive for people who come to fishbowl and then eat at the hot box, right? So I think it's not just what you would do to let them know, but how you would make them do it.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? So sometimes it would just kind of a step further that you can help this business, right? So not just like, yeah, this is the result, use this result. Not just that, you have to kind of digest for them and like, what would I do with this data and kind of give them as a recommendations, okay? All right, thank you. Next group. Fight it out.
Here, let them go.
I said, Pierre was up first. Pierre wasn't playing no games. He said, no. So y'all go ahead. Yeah. Well, then we're gonna go. You what? Okay. Enjoy yourself. Just like that.
So after
after this group, we're gonna take 5-minute break, okay? And then,
We wanna go home.
Me and Pierre wanna go
well,
next.
5 minute, I need 5-minute break.
Okay, use the 5-minute break to get chronological order.
I'm sure it's great.
During the 5 minutes, can we get a chronological order?
Sure, sure, you can talk among
Next.
yourself.
Yeah, dibs.
And then now,
Dibs.
I'm gonna have to find that out.
I mean.
Julia?